So this video is to do a little test to determine what the absorptive capacity of Miracle-Gro potting mix is. So there's the bag of Miracle-Gro potting mix, and let's test it. So the first thing I'm going to do is measure the capacity of one of these cells in milliliters. So I have a little cup of water. I'm holding my finger over the drainage hole at the bottom, and I'll measure in 25 cc's into the syringe, and we'll see how much it holds. So that's 25. It's only about half full. Let's get another 25. And a little bit more than 50. So let's try add another 5 cc's. And there we have it, 55 cc's. Dump it all out. All right, now we'll put in our potting soil. I'll put this in a dry cell, and we'll pack it in. Kind of like we would with a pot, as if we were planting something. So we'll put that in there. Fill her up. Pack it down a little. Now, if you were planting something, you wouldn't have it overflowing with soil. You'd have a little margin at the top where there was no soil. So I think that's a fair representation of what one would do. So the question is, in this 55 cc cell, how much water can I put in there before it starts draining? So let's start. And I'm going to drop 10 cc's to start with. All right. And we'll go slowly. That's, let's do 5. That's 5 cc's in the 55 cc cell. Nothing coming through yet. Give it a minute, or a few seconds at least. Time to drain through, see if anything comes out. No, nothing. All right, so let's go to 10. That's another 2.5. Nothing yet. So that's 10 cc so far. Nothing yet. Drop another 10. Or 2.5. Nothing yet. So that's 15 cc's. Nothing coming through yet. So that's a total of 20 cc's. And now it's coming through. You can see it dripping. Not a whole lot, but 20 was the maximum. So given about the amount that's dripping out there now, which isn't a whole lot, I'm gonna say, let's see, we'll give it a minute, see if this thing stops dripping, so we know that it's reached the absorptive capacity. Yeah, it pretty much stopped dripping. That at most is a cc that came out there. So I'm gonna say 19 cc's. Now, we didn't fill this all the way up, even though the capacity was 55, so we only put in about 50. And we had, looks like 19 cc's. So we'll figure out a ratio from that. So I did the math, and if you consider 50 cc's of soil, and then you figure 18 cc's of water holding, you divide that out. I used 18 because there's going to be some continued dripping from that over time as it drains further. If you divide the, if you did the original 19 and divide that into the 50, you get 2.77, and if you divide it the other way, 19 divided by 50, you get 0.36. So seems to me a reasonable round off point would be 1/3. So if you know the capacity, the volume of the container, the amount of volume of soil in your container, then for this Miracle-Gro potting mix, it will roughly hold 1/3 that volume in water before it starts draining through. So who cares? Well, I was curious about this because I have this huge pot that I planted a Phoenix Robolini palm tree in. I moved it from outside to my living room over the winter because it's too cold in New Jersey for that tree. And it looked like it was starting to get a bit dry, and I've only been giving it maybe 40 ounces of water every week or so. And so I said, well, maybe I'm not giving enough, and I couldn't drain it all the way through because the way this pot was constructed, it had one of these sort of like built-in drainage trays. But the problem is that the weight of the soil pushed the inside out against the side of the drainage tray, which I think might be sealing it. So if water gets down to the part where it would normally have drained, I'm not confident it will drain. So I did order a larger drainage tray for it, and I'm going to drill some holes in the bottom of that pot. But I was just curious in the meantime, before those trays arrive, how much water can that soil absorb? And that's a huge pot. I don't know if it's 10 gallons or whatever, but like today I put a gallon of water in there and it just soaked it right up. And based on this, I might have been able to put 3 gallons in there and it still wouldn't have been too much. I don't know, but I thought this would be useful to know. So figure 1/3 the volume of soil to know how much water the soil will be able to hold. Thanks.